the staff, the API testing, Kasun Pereira, Asela Dayaratna, and Rashita Jayaman. So giving the, the steps to come to this section. So this is a kind of an extension of what they have done. So I thought of, since we have covered the basics of API testing, which is called web services testing, and manual, and also the concepts behind, and also we touched upon and talked about Postman. So the next step of what we get in the test automation world or the QA world is how we can actually automate, how we can run this in an automated environment, the Postman test. Okay, as you know, web services can testing, which we normally do is regression and smoke testing, which is similar to web UI. Okay, we actually have to we can automate them using REST assured in Java, REST sharp in actually in .NET, C sharp, and also request in Python. Okay, in JavaScript also there are several tools, node packages that we can use for test automation. Whereas you guys might be knowing Cypress also. Cypress suppose now web UI plus API automation. Okay, but we cannot always come into this. We cannot have a rigid kind of decision to take when we come to taking a client project, and when the client wants to automate their web services test, because normally every company, the highest priority is to first kind of automate the unit test. Then thereafter, web services what they have implemented, we have to automate, kind of test them. Then we have to go to the web UI. It's not normally we go to first to testing web UI, because at the ground level we can detect so many issues, and whereas when we come into web UI testing, it's kind of less. Okay, so web services, if a project is developing and distributing the web services before the web UI, it's better to test them. Okay, so that's what these guys have, the three guys which they did on a API training covered up. So what I'm going to do is an extension of it. Now, when a customer comes, he or she might have more than 10,000 or 20,000 of test cases, regression. Okay, so they might have been kind of created these test cases using Postman, because SOAP UI was there, but now it is kind of decreasing. So Postman is coming up in the industry, and most organizations for their manual testing to create their web services regression pack, they use Postman. So 10,000 or 20,000 or 15,000 test cases, if they have done in Postman, what we can do is, if they are constructed properly, parameterized, and data driven, everything is there, it's best to come up with how with this Postman and Newman, rather than going into a separate automation tool. If the customer is paying us, yeah, it's fine. But if it's if the rework is kind of consumes a lot of time, cost, and everything, then the best option is to go with have Postman integrated with Newman. So you have to think, you cannot come up with, when you are making an automation decision, test automation decision, you cannot straight away say this is Selenium, we can use REST assured like that. So you have to think about client's background also, and what is there and how we can utilize them effectively, right? So so this is about myself. So I'm technical specialist QA, mainly specializing in test automation in Acentura. I have joined 3 months back to Acentura, and I worked with large companies like Pearson, Virtusa, then Courthouse. So I have a lot of things, not only doing web services testing and test automation, but I kind of contribute more towards the community, testing community, also to Acentura. So I had a dream in like when I was a senior QA engineer to create like a certification exam like ISTQB. So I came up with CPWST, which is launched by Agile Testing Alliance. So this exam, if you go, it was created by me. So one part of this certification is about using Postman with Newman because it's an essential thing, right? So we have to be challenging. We have to know a lot of things. We have to diverse our, uh, technical skills, automation skills, performance testing, security testing in order to face the new world. So I have been a global speaker. I know some even Acentura WhatsApp group. We are sharing the events that I'm doing. So recently, I'm going to talk about next week on codeless test automation and code-based test automation, whether it's good or bad to the testing community. So that is there, and I have blogged 350 articles in LinkedIn. So I'm a continuous knowledge sharer among my employees and among the community. And I have a global channel called Global Technical QA. So I'm not going to cover everything in PowerPoint because I want to go on more practical ways. So number one is that normally when I used to, do some people training, I used to use this JSON server. Okay, because I don't want to rely on other third-party free web services because by experience I know sometimes it will be there, sometimes the servers might go down. So it's best to create our own, have our own JSON based REST web server. Okay, so this URL I will share. Okay, so this is about creating a JSON server, right? So for a demo that I'm going to do a tech talk, I am using this one JSON server. So in order to have this, we had to have Node JS. Okay, so Node.js we had to have it. So we had to download the current version, right? Install this Node.js in order to run JavaScript-based modules. So Node.js like a .NET framework kind of a thing. You have to have it. So it has this. We have to install this Node.js. Then after that, what we had to do is we had to create this JSON file. So if this is about employee web service. So we can actually means you can retrieve the information in this JSON file. It's act like a database, and we can get the information. We can post. That means we can create records. We can put. That means we can update the record and also delete. So that's the basics, Java's web services operation. So this is enough for to test, to learn about web services testing. So we had to create the JSON file. Then we had to run this. We had to save it into a local hard drive, and we had to run this with the JSON server command watch, and we have to give the path of the JSON file. So it will come up like this, and then you can access the web service through this IP address. Okay. So that's what I have done. So I have a huge JSON file which I have used, okay, to experiment. So I have created a lot of records. And apart from this, we have to have Postman. I'm using the Postman Windows-based application. And then we have to have the Newman installed. So Newman is something, it's a kind of a module which allows us to actually run the test collections. Those are test collection is a test suite. So we can run these collections, Postman collections, in a single command line. So this is really useful that we don't have to always open up Postman. You don't have to have Postman in your machine. If you have Newman, but you have to have the collection in the JSON format. I will show you how to export them. Then after that, what you all have to do is you all have to run this with the Newman command. Okay, so you can run. You have to have the environment variables, which is where we can have the environment specific data in a separate section, which is there in a separate section in Postman, and we can export that environment variables into a separate JSON file, and also data. If you are doing data driven testing, we can have it constructed into a JSON file, the data files, and we can run this entire scenario in a single command line using Newman. So you don't have to have Postman in your machine. Say if someone has constructed them properly, and if our machine can access that particular web service, we can actually go and run this. We just have to have the Newman module installed in your machine to run this. And this is ultimately, good if we use for CI/CD. So we can run, even if we have Jenkins, we can run it with a single command line. We can have that command line in our Jenkins machine, and we can configure the Jenkins machine to have Newman, and it will actually execute them. So there is a nice reporting format that I have discovered because I am doing R&D with these new tools, HTML extra report. So that also I will show. So Newman, this is the link. Okay. So I'll share the link at the end of the session in the channel so that you guys can go and practice them. So I need all of you all to have passion and enthusiasm to learn this, practice them. And if you all have any issues, you all can contact me through Teams. I'm happy to give you all a helping hand. So what we do in Newman is, first of all, we have to have Node.js installed in our machine. And also then once we have installed Node.js, we have to run this npm command, Node Package Manager command in our command prompt. For example, if you have Node.js installed, then we can run this npm. I think you guys can see my screen, right? Sachini?
Yes, Kushan, can we see? You can.
Okay, so when we are going to run this, you can install, after installing Node.js, you can run the npm command, npm install, okay, install -g. So you put it as a global installation. -g is the parameter, says command line parameter is global. Then you can say Newman. Okay, once you do this, so I'm going to stop this, but if you were to have the, this batch, this command will execute and it will actually download the Newman modules into your local machine. Okay. And then after installing, so I have already installed, that's why I cancel, but you guys can execute this command and install Newman. Okay. So then thereafter, what you all have to do is, you have to go to Postman. So I have set of test cases created. I will share these test cases in JSON format. So this test 111, you can see, since we covered it earlier, say for example, let's get this one. Yeah. So this is with environment variable. So if we just, hard code the URLs, okay, we'll get this one. If we hard code the URLs, I'll just take this one also. Put it here rather than parameterize in the environment variable. Right. So we can just run this, and what happens is it will do the get operation, that it will do a sim kind of a retrieving data. Okay. So post is like creating data, right? So what I have done here is, in the body, I'm sending the post parameters, the request parameters. So then this is hard coded, but I can run it through data driven. Then I have created the necessary assertions, because running this alone, we cannot say that the test is passing. So we have to have necessary assertions created in the test tab. Okay. So what I have done is I have created the get, post, put, and delete operations for the my web services employee. So what I have to do is, first of all, I have to export this. So I export right? So I will create Kushan1.json. Okay, so this is about, without parameterizing everything. So once we save this, right, then I go to my command prompt. Okay, so what I have done is I have created that JSON server and I have brought up the JSON server. So when I go to my URL, okay, localhost employees, you can see that my web service is up, right? So what I have done is I have put a simple get call, right? Same way, put and delete everything. Okay. So let's see whether 32 employee. Okay, we have to, I will put this data there also, 31. Then that is 31. We'll delete. Okay, say for example, data which is there for now. We'll delete 10. Okay. So what I'm going to do is this will work. So save this collection and Control S will save it. And what I'm doing is I'm going to export this again. So export to a folder, section1, and you have to give the .json extension when you are saving it. Otherwise, it will save it as a different thing, a different file, and it won't get kind of recognized. So next thing is I have to bring command prompt. What I'll do is I'll clear this CLS. So then once Newman is installed in global, using the global parameter, you can easily access this. Newman, okay, run. Okay, then what you have to do is you have to specify where your test is. Postman / then Kushan1.json. So that it will actually, now I have a small assertion issue, but then this can be rectified. But Newman will help you to automatically run what is there in your test. So you have to configure it properly to run automatically. So you have to have make it independent, but this will actually help you to run this test in a command prompt. So you don't have to have Postman there. Okay. So then this is the other thing in Newman is that you can have your environment parameters. So Postman will help you to have your environmental parameters separately in the environment tab. Okay, so you can have the environment parameters in separately in environment tab so that you can change according to the environment, because we will be running in several environments. So you can have your specific environment variables like the URL and certain environment based data. Let's say UAT we have separate one, for QA you have separate one, for production you have separate one, so you can have them separately. So what I've done here is we'll go to this one, right? So we go to test one. Okay, test one is my it's here. Okay, let's take yeah, so it's under my environment variable section Kushan. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I want to take them, export them separately. We have to click export and we can say environment, say Shan1 environment.json. Okay, so you save it. So once this is done, okay, then we have to save the other one also. That is the collections, which utilizes these environment variables. So what we have done is, yeah, this is the one. So everything I have parameterized my environment variable. So I have to just go and change the environment variable and this will get reflected to my collections. Okay, so that's why it's like environment variable is parameter. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here and do an export of this data. So you have to select 2.1 version, recommended one. So then export. Okay. Now I will say employee test 111, say JSON. So we will remember that. So then you can have a meaningful name. That is according to what the practices that you all take in your the practices that you all have in your project. So within the project also you all have to have certain standards, coding standards, automation standards, test naming conventions. So once that is done, we'll run it this way, Newman run, okay, and we have to give the your path of our JSON file to collection file. So Postman, okay, slash, then we have to give okay, employee, we give it as employee, right? 11. Hold on. We give it as employee test 11 Postman collection. Put it like that, output dot JSON, we put like this and dot JSON. So you have to give JSON extension. So once this is done, what you all have to do is, so we have this one, then we can just omit this double quotes, and then this is we have to give a command line parameter. So Newman, when we want to run the separately the environment variables file, you have to give the command line parameter -e. Okay, so that shows denotes that it's we are going to now specify the environment variable file. So I will give d dot postman, right, and environment. We'll get the name from here. So Kushan one dot environment. Okay. So one dot environment dot JSON. So it should be in JSON form. So once we run, oops, collection could not be loaded. Okay. Export. Let's put it in one word. Test one dot JSON. So we'll go here back. Test one dot JSON dash e d drive postman slash. Yeah. So assertion has gone wrong because I have deleted the employee that is there for my assertion. But now you can see that it takes the environment variable separately, binds it with the collection and run it. So you have to have the command line parameter -e, right? So this is how you run with environment variables. The other thing is you can run data driven. Okay, so what I have done is I have created data driven test case where my data driven file is in JSON format. So you can, in Postman, you can run actually the files which are in like CSV format and also in JSON format. So what I have chosen here is the JSON format where I store my data in. So this is my, so I have to create 3 employees. Okay. So 3 employees, it's a data driven mechanism where I kind of use the post mechanism and I try to create the 3 employees. So to create 3 employees, our body should be like this and it should be parameterized. So first name according to this file, right? So I have to create the data in a JSON format and save it separately in my computer location where I'm going to execute them. Then I have parameterized them and also I have use the environment variables whereas I have created it in my global area. So what I have done is I had to first, export the data driven test. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to export this collection 2.1, save data driven to Postman, it's there. So save it, place it. So it's in JSON format, we have to save it. Then what we have to do next is go to your environment, globals, and select this and export. Click export, and you can say data-driven .json. Okay. So that I have created my environment variables also. Next thing is that I have already created the data file. Now, how we can run, I will show you how we can run this in a simple way in Newman, the Postman collection, which has data driven and plus environment variables. So it's very simple. Newman, okay, Newman minus Newman run, okay. Then we say D drive Postman slash we have called it as data driven Postman. Okay, data, that's the file name of our collection, data driven to Postman. Okay, then the data file should be denoted by -d, then D drive, okay, Postman, right? Then we have to give the data file data.json. Okay, then the environment parameter should be -e, okay, D drive, right? Postman. Then environment parameter is called, we called it as data driven environment. So we'll save it again. Okay. Say we'll put as Kushan 1 environment. Save it like that. And then what we are going to do is we'll put that file under environment. So Kushan 1 Kushan.environment. So what happens is it will actually execute the data-driven mechanism. So you can run data-driven scripts with the -d and then -e command parameters as the environment, and it will execute. Then we can see that in our, so we have 41, let's see, there, 44, 43, 45. So it has created the data that is there in my JSON file, right? So anyone needs any questions? Anyone have any questions? So I'm going to show you all the reporting dashboard of Newman. So which I have discovered. It's called HTML Extra. That is the next one. So that it is a nice dashboard. So I will tell you how we can have that also, which will add line of masala to your what you're cooking with Postman and Newman. So next one is how we can call this. Yeah. So this Newman report. Okay. So Newman has several reporting formats. Can be, there are several modules. If you go to npm.js, if you say Newman reporters, there are several reporters. One is a JSON reporter, HTML normal basic reporter, and also you have this, we have this Newman report HTML extra, which is a nice one, very, eye-catching. So if you give this to the client, the HTML file, it's much more eye-catching and the client will love it. Okay. And there are other, numerous reporting formats. So I have chosen this one. So when we are going to install this, we know that Node.js is already installed and the npm command we have to execute. So what we can do is we copy this one and go to your, say, we'll have a cmd command prompt, and then we can modify this npm install. We will do a global installation -g install, and you have to have active good internet connection and it will start installing that module. So it will go like this and install. Okay. So I'm not going to proceed further because my one is already installed. So you have simply execute this and it will get installed, the module. So you have to have the module to generate this report. Now what I'm going to do is apart from this, I will say minus R and minus R. Then I am going to give this one, the parameter reported. Okay, minus R HTML extra. That's all. You can give the location where you want to save the reporter. So there are simple command line parameters. So this site URL I will share so that you guys, I need everyone QA, especially QAs, to practice this. Okay, because you all should know these things when you are doing kind of going into technical QA, right? So there will be requirements for us to run this Postman 20,000 of Postman test in our CI. So you guys have to know these things, how we can do this. So then what we have to do is in our command. So I'm going to say HTML extra and I'm going to run this. So you see that it won't show us this report. Okay. The command based report, it won't show us, but now it has generated the report. So when I go and type HTML extra 22, let's see this one. Okay. So this is one of the reports that are generated. I will share this. So oops. Okay. So this kind of a report you will get when you run your Newman test. So you can see it's a kind of nice dashboard view. You can change the theme also. And this is an HTML file where you can give it to your client and you can see total number of requests, which one has failed and the time duration, everything, the request headers, what it was we sent and what we got, everything is there. Why the failure has occurred, everything is there. This is much more attractive to the client. If you guys are doing, you guys can use this. If you all are in a project-based environment also, if you are running your Postman scripts. So that is that for my session. Any questions, guys? Sachini? Ramai Sadhyan.
Yeah. Thanks, Kushan. So I think it was a very big discussion on test automation as well as web services. So I think I don't have any questions, but
Okay.
others might have anything to clarify.
If you guys, I will share everything. So after this session, I will create a notepad document and I'll share the URLs and even the Postman stuff that I have done. Okay, the JSON files. So you guys can actually do your, this is learning is about, you should have a passion to learn these things, new things, experiment them. Because I learned this not from a company but itself, alone itself. I just continuously, every during my free time, I used to, experiment these new tools so that you guys can, test automation is not just Selenium Java. So test automation, my advice is test automation is a vast area where you guys can, in Acentura, we might get a project in .NET automation. Okay, .NET Selenium. We might have Java Selenium. We might have a Python because client might insist to do it in Python Selenium. So then how? So we have to be, to adapt that, we have to be flexible. We have to learn. So I just want you guys to, try experimenting these things. Automation is about R&D. Learning, then you should have a passion. So if you have a passion, you can learn. So I want you guys to try this out. If you are having any issues, even apart from this, you guys want to know about other automation tools, you can contact me through Teams. And if I'm free, we can have a jump into a call and I will help you all to grow. That's it.
Thank you, Kushan.
Yeah.
So since it's a tech talk, right? Please feel
Yeah.
free to ask questions from Kushan if you can clarify.
Manuja, any questions?
No, Kushan,
Okay.
I was there for this one.
Yeah, the boot camp, right?
Yeah.
But this is new. This one is new.
Yeah. This is something new. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
So
looks
anything?
like
Yeah.
questions. Okay, Kushan.
Hope you guys, it was, you guys got it, right? ප්‍රශ්න නැති කොටත් වයයි හිතෙනවා මේ ළමයිට මේක අල්ලලා ගියාද කියලා. I know you guys got this. And just, I want you guys to start. I'm not forcing everyone, but if you really love this, tell me. And if you all want to go more than this, I'm there to help you all. So I want you all also to grow in technical QA. That's it. Anything, Sriranta? Sriranta, no news. Okay.
Okay, so once again, thank you, Kushan. Thank you for your time and dedication in setting up this tech talk for all of our employees here.
Sure.
Hopefully, we're meeting again this week, right? For another
Yeah.
QA check.
Yeah, my buddies who are doing the Bell project, TTC. So they are going to demo about what we can bring best of, how to accelerate test automation with Tosca.
Oh, yes, yes. That'll be
Yes.
with Hussein and Samira, right?
Yes, yes.
Sounds great. So hopefully looking forward for that session then, Kushan. So
Sure.
once again, thank you very much. And thanks, team. Thank you for joining.
Okay. Take care, guys. Bye.
Yeah, bye.
Thank you, Kushan. Thank you, Sachin.
Thank you, Kushan.
Okay.
Thank you, Kushan.
Thanks so
Thank you,
much.
Kushan.
Bye.
Thank you, Kushan.
Yeah, bye. Thanks, Anandisha. Bye.